Many of us are familiar with the hindrances, the 5 hindrances of Theravada Buddhism. It's a very, very old teaching, and these hindrances are the five things that hinder our meditation practice, and they hinder our happiness in life. When we understand them, we can use them in our meditation practice. If our meditation is going well, we know that there are no hindrances involved, or just a shadow of a hindrance maybe. And if we're struggling with our meditation practice, we know that there's some hindrances that are raising havoc with our meditation practice. And this can also be true with our everyday activities as well. If we are happy and everything is going very, very well for us, if we could check in, a little mindfulness and check in, we would notice that there are no hindrances, raising problems with us at the moment. Everything is going well. We're in the flow. If we run into a hiccup now and then, or maybe more than a hiccup, something that really is kind of rocking our world in a negative way, we could see that it's one of the hindrances. And if you don't know the hindrances, you might want to get a piece of paper and a pencil, and or a pen. That would be fine too, and write the 5 hindrances down. They're very basic. But sometimes when we talk about the 5 hindrances in line, in a row, in sequence, we can forget them. They're easy to forget. So if you don't have them memorized, please jot them down. The very first hindrance is, you guessed it, it's desire. And this hindrance of desire, and all of these are fascinating to me, because when you really dig deep, you realize that it's a little bit more than just desire. Now, a lot of times when you run into the 5 hindrances, this will be explained as sensual desire. And what they're referring to is, in our Western way, we would describe it as like eye candy, that we desire more of the things we see, or the sense candy, the nice things that we smell, or tongue candy, actual candy itself, right? The different foods, the different things that we might desire. And we run into that quite a bit in this day and age, don't we? Have cravings, for this or that. And the hearing, like we want to hear something pleasant, even words, we want to hear pleasant words talked about us, praising us or whatever. We don't want to hear harsh, negative words that put us down. So we crave and desire these things, and we might even develop attachments to these things. And another sense, of course, is the sense of touch, the tactile things that we feel. And probably one of the area of senses that we can forget about from time to time is the mind. And that's really the overall capstone, I guess you could say, of all of the senses. Everything comes to mind, literally. And so these desires could also be desire for finer states, desires for better, finer emotions, desires to be in a different place, or have a different circumstance, a different situation, a different partner, a different anything that can make us feel more complete at this time. So oftentimes these things will come up in meditation, but we can certainly experience them in everyday life. And so we really owe it to ourselves to be really mindful of these 5 hindrances. So if you're writing these down, write down desire, which could be attachment or clinging. And all of these hindrances are related to one thing, and that is control, our desire to control. And so we could even write control next to that word desire. So desire hyphen attachment, clinging, whatever it might be. Now the next hindrance is ill will, sometimes called aversion, but it's hatred, it's anger. And it's not necessarily hatred and anger directed at another person or thing, although it certainly could be, but it could be directed at ourselves. And ill will generally is that kind of reflection that comes back to us. The ability to get upset about ourselves. And sometimes when we have failure to forgive somebody for something, that could be ill will, it could be this aversion, this hatred. And when we fail to forgive somebody for something, a lot of times it's not what they did, but it's coming from us. So we really owe it to ourselves to look at these things. Ill will, Bhante Gudaratana once told me, Bhante G told me that ill will is when your will is sick. When your will is ill, that is ill will. And when you have a willingness in life to do things, again, you feel like you're in the flow. It's like you're going out to greet the world, right? And if that willingness isn't there, it could be literally ill will. And what can cause that more than anything else is being upset at ourselves or at somebody else. So that's why we call it anger or hatred. So if you're writing these down, ill will, aversion comes up quite a bit, but I like to remind myself that it has everything to do with hatred or anger, that type of thing. Now, the third hindrance, and if I'm going to do these in order, I don't often lay them out this way, but usually the third hindrance is sloth and torpor. And the sloth and torpor is a dullness of mind. And it's very interesting when it comes to meditation. This is something that people, this dullness, could be sleepiness, it could be boredom, it could be just a feeling of fantasy in our meditation practice. And it took me a while to figure this out, but I talk a lot about the mind dwelling in the past, and which has everything to do, by the way, with the second hindrance, the anger. And I also talk about our mind dwelling in the future. But there's this other part of mind where fantasy comes into play when we're meditating. We might feel as if it's a daydream, or just something really bizarre, it will come up. And what that is actually sloth and torpor. It's a dullness of mind, and it's fatigue. It could be a genuine fatigue from not having enough sleep, from exerting ourselves throughout the day and then getting tired at night, for example. But if we are not consistent meditators, I've seen sloth and torpor affect non-consistent meditators more than anybody else. So if you are not meditating on a daily basis and you get tired when you do meditate, check out whether, just do me a favor and meditate every day and see if that takes care of the situation. And the reason that this is a fact is because the body and the mind, when we close our eyes and we kind of shut things down, it's a signal to the mind and to the body that this is time for sleep, something that it's used to doing at least every 24 hours, falling to sleep. And at least once in a 24-hour period, right? Sometimes many more than that. But it's a habitual, I guess I could say an habitual pattern of the body and mind. We close our eyes and we drift off to sleep. And when we don't meditate every day, it gets that same signal that we're getting comfortable, we're closing our eyes, and it just goes to say that the mind and the body say, well, it's time to check out, for a while, time to take a little nap or to go to sleep. But if we meditate consistently, that alleviates that, because the mind and body recognize it as a completely different activity than sleeping. And if we are fatigued, there's genuine fatigue, sometimes the best thing to do is just take a nap and try your meditation again later on, the next day or something like that. That happens to everybody. I'm talking to Bhante G again, one of my teachers. He one time told me that he could not. He said, "Shane, I cannot meditate right now." He said, "I'll fall asleep." He just did not want to meditate. Couldn't do it. And then so it happens to everybody, even those that have been meditating all of their lives, in deep, concentrated meditation. It happens. This fatigue. It can also be boredom. If we sometimes feel as if our meditation is getting boring or something like that, we want to take a look at that and notice that as maybe sloth and torpor. It could also be desire to be doing something else, but we want to check these things out. So if you're writing these down, sloth and torpor would be number 3. The 4th hindrance is quite common, and it is restlessness and worry. Restlessness and worry, sometimes people say this is their more common hindrance, because, again, it's a habitual pattern of mind. These things keep coming up again and again and again. If we are good at letting these emotions flow through, or letting these patterns, these negative patterns, flow through, they're not a problem. We recognize them and then we let them go. There's no desire to control any of that. There's no desire to attach to any of it or anything like that. If there's some negativity that happens and we just can't shake it, it comes around again and again and again, and it develops a pattern within the mind. There could even be triggers from the body that trigger these thought patterns. And this restlessness and worry is the kind of thing that keeps us up at night, perhaps. We worry about these things. And maybe we wake up in the middle of the night thinking about these things. Or we wake up in the morning and going, oh, what day is this? This is Thursday. And what do I got to do today? And then all of a sudden that thing comes to mind. Oh yeah, that thing, that worry, that worry of the mind. Restlessness and worry could also be restlessness of the body, but most of these hindrances are usually connected to the mind. As the mind is such a more powerful element of what we are and who we believe we are. But there can be a restlessness in the body that can really affect our meditation. And again, that's from maybe from not being consistent. It could be some physical things, a certain kind of pain or a certain kind of uncomfortable feeling within the body that causes this restlessness and moving and stuff. I have run into people that have been meditating for a long time that move around habitually, and I'm not even so sure that they recognize that they're doing it. But in retreats, I've noticed this. It's not very common, but I have noticed it where people are kind of shuffling around and they're not noticing that they're doing it, and they've been meditating for a while. But more common is somebody that hasn't meditated for very long or isn't a consistent meditator, and they're shuffling, shifting, I should say, and moving around. So again, if you're writing these down, the 4th hindrance is restlessness and worry. Now the final hindrance, the 5th hindrance, is doubt. You can write that down as number 5. And the opposite of that, again, is faith. Faith in our practice, faith in the teachings, faith that we can use meditation to wake up, to become enlightened as for example, as the Buddha did, and many others. Faith that meditation is very beneficial for us, and that it's a life-changing activity that we should be doing on a consistent basis. Now, this doubt is not going to be a commonplace for the people here, because if you had a lot of doubt in your practice, you probably wouldn't be here on Insight Timer listening to me right now. You probably wouldn't have got this far. And so my hat's off to you. We don't have to talk too much about doubt because you're here. And you know, all of this, as I mentioned, has everything to do with control. And if we were going to be able to let go of something to help our meditation right now, I would say that it is the control. We want to be in control, and that's the whole purpose behind this meditation that we're going to be doing now. And really, all meditations is to look for these hindrances, these things that cause difficulties in our meditation. And I'll guarantee you that if they cause difficulties in our meditation, this meditation is a reflection of our life, of our everyday life. It's the same thing that is affecting our life out there. Our work, our relationships, our everyday activities, our whatever it might be. And for many of you, this is nothing new, but it is a reminder. And I think reminders are always good. So in this meditation that we're going to be doing here, the interval meditation, I'm using Insight Timer app. I'm going to give a plug for Insight Timer. This is the app right here. And what I got is, many of you have probably done this, but the duration, I just have it for 30 minutes. I might have to cut it short. The interval bells, there's going to be 15 bells because they're ringing every 2 minutes. There's no ambient sound, and I'm using the Zada bell, for the sound. And you can set this up yourself with the Insight Timer app, and it's a really good practice. So every 2 minutes, we're going to be checking in. It's that simple. The bell will ring every 2 minutes. We'll ask ourselves, how concentrated were we within those last 2 minutes? So it's almost like if we did this for a half hour, it would be as if we're doing 15 little meditations. So the bell, we'll concentrate for 2 minutes, the bell will ring. We'll just set all that aside, just let all of that go and concentrate on the next 2 minutes. And the concentration could be on the breath. It could be on just this present moment reality, just how present am I at this moment. And what we want to do is notice if any of these hindrances come up for us. Okay. So please make yourself comfortable. And gently close your eyes. I'm going to be doing a little bit of guiding, but the primary thing here are the bells and the silence that will follow. So again, make yourself comfortable, close your eyes. Just take a moment and thank yourself for being here this evening. If you're familiar with the breath being your meditation object, by all means, feel free to use that. If you want to sit in still presence and just feel the body and use the body in general as your meditation object, that's fine too. But the Buddha himself said the breath will take you all the way. Very interesting. The breath can take you all the way. We're just simply checking for any hindrances, any desire to be anyplace else. Any negativity of mind, the area of the past, the anger, the ill will. You should be hearing the first bell. Just keep your attention on your meditation object. Just ask yourself if you're present, if you're actually resting in this present moment. If the mind goes into the future, this is often a representation of restlessness and worry, or it could be desire. If there's fantasy in the mind, a daydream, this would likely be sloth and torpor, fatigue. Just checking in. It's as if this is a new meditation now. Chance to start all over. If there are no hindrances, your meditation should be going very, very well. If the mind is very busy and active, it might help to count the breaths for a while. Otherwise, see the breath as a dear friend, meditation object as a friend. Just checking in. bell will ring every 2 minutes. So as a reminder, we're doing this to notice if any hindrances arise, any desire, any ill will or anger, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, or doubt. If this is a new kind of practice for you, let's check and see if there is any doubt in this technique, doubt that this helps concentration, presence. Checking in. Relax the body and still the mind. Let go of any desire for control, any need to control anything. You'll see the hindrances settle and slip away. Again, if your meditation is going well, there are very few, if any, hindrances. If it's not going well, look for the hindrances that's causing the difficulty. And it's generally not just one hindrance, but oftentimes a mixture of two or more. Just checking in. Again, every 2 minutes can be looked at as a brand new meditation, brand new start. Checking in. Letting go of any need to control. Letting go of any desire for things to be different than what they are. Letting go of the past and the future. Any desire, any restlessness, worry, doubt. Just making the mind complete in every way. It's an option. It's a choice. If you'd like to bring your hands together in front of your heart, may each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. May we have the patience, courage, and understanding to meet and overcome any problems or any difficulties that we might face in life. Thank you.